The old mansion loomed ahead, a shadow against the dying light of the day. Its weathered stones and twisted iron gates whispered tales of a forgotten era. The real estate agent, a nervous man named Mr. Anderson, led me through the overgrown garden, the crunching of dead leaves beneath our feet, punctuating the ominous silence. This mansion, he claimed, was a piece of history with a dark secret, a perfect addition to the Haunted Location series. As we approached the entrance, the heavy wooden door creaked open, seemingly of its own accord. I shivered, though the air was warm. The scent of decay hung in the air, and a chill ran down my spine. Mr. Anderson gestured for me to enter, and I stepped into the dimly lit foyer. The air was heavy with an otherworldly presence. "I must warn you," Mr. Anderson said, his voice trembling. "There's something wrong with this place. It's been on the market for decades, but no one stays for long. People claim to hear whispers in the walls and see shadows moving in the corners." I chuckled nervously, dismissing his warnings as superstitions. I was here to document, not to believe in ghosts. As we moved through the mansion, the walls seemed to close in on us, the oppressive atmosphere pressing down on my chest. I caught fleeting glimpses of movement in the periphery of my vision, but every time I turned, there was nothing there. The first night came, and I set up my recording equipment in the grand hall. The flickering candlelight cast dancing shadows on the ornate wallpaper. As I settled into a worn-out armchair, the temperature dropped, and a soft moan echoed through the room. I brushed it off, blaming the old house's drafts. The recording began, and I asked the typical questions, hoping for an otherworldly response. The silence that followed was thick with anticipation. Then, a raspy voice whispered through the static, sending a shiver down my spine. "You're wrong." I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. The voice seemed to come from all directions, surrounding me. I fumbled with the recorder, asking more questions, desperate for answers. The replies grew more sinister, each whisper dripping with malice. "Wrong to be here," the voice taunted, as if it knew my every thought. I stumbled back from the recorder, fear taking hold. The air grew colder, and my breath hung in front of me like ghostly apparitions. The room darkened, the candle flames flickering wildly. The shadows danced, contorting into grotesque shapes on the walls. I felt eyes on me, unseen but piercing. Night after night, the whispers continued, a relentless barrage of accusations. "Wrong decisions," they hissed. "Wrong life." Sleep became elusive, and my waking hours blurred into a never-ending nightmare. The walls seemed to close in, and the mansion itself became a living entity, pulsating with a malevolent energy. As my sanity unraveled, I delved into the mansion's history. The tale unfolded like a cursed manuscript. Decades ago, a family had lived here, their name etched in the annals of the town's dark past. The patriarch, a man named Nathaniel Blackwood, had been accused of unspeakable crimes, dark rituals and sacrifices that stained the very foundation of the mansion. The Blackwood family had vanished mysteriously, leaving behind a legacy of horror. The townsfolk spoke of a curse, a vengeful spirit that lingered in the shadows, punishing those who dared to trespass on its domain. I confronted Mr. Anderson with my findings, but he only shook his head in despair. "I warned you," he whispered. "The wrong always pays the price." The mansion became a prison, each room a cell of my own making. The whispers grew louder, the shadows more menacing. I couldn't escape the feeling of being watched, judged by unseen eyes. My reflection in the dusty mirrors seemed distorted, a grotesque version of myself. One night, as the darkness swallowed the mansion whole, I saw a figure at the end of the hallway. A spectral silhouette, clad in tattered garments, moved towards me with a purpose. The whispers reached a fever pitch, accusing and condemning. I tried to flee, but the mansion's grip tightened, trapping me in its suffocating embrace. The figure materialized before me, its face hidden beneath a hood. Cold, lifeless eyes stared into my soul, and a skeletal hand reached out, pointing accusingly. "Wrong," it intoned, its voice a chorus of tortured souls. I fell to my knees, consumed by terror. The mansion seemed to absorb my very essence, and I became a part of its twisted history. The walls closed in, the shadows devoured me, and the whispers echoed through the corridors for eternity. The Haunted Locations series had claimed another victim, a warning to those who dared to seek the truth in the wrong places. The mansion stood silent once more, waiting for the next curious soul to cross its threshold and become entwined in the dark tapestry of its haunted legacy.